Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Each episode, you'll dive into conversations with top entrepreneurs, visionaries, and business leaders, unlocking the secrets to building profitable relationships that drive growth and success. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Hello, my name is Dean West. I'll be your host today, and we're sitting down with Danielle Garno, the fashion lawyer behind brands like Gucci, David Yurman, Richemont. After 2 decades in big law, she made a bold move to DMC, a boutique firm where she delivers agile, brand-aligned legal strategy. She's also at the forefront of legal tech, building tools like MyAscend AI and Advocate IQ. From high-stakes trademarks battles to influencer deals and luxury brand protection, this episode breaks down the real legal frameworks driving modern brand success. And if you're an attorney looking to launch your own brand, Danielle's got something for you too. So let's get in. Hello.
Hello, Dean. Nice to be here with you.
Thank you. I enjoy having you on this podcast. We get to dive into this. So I went on the deep dive of Danielle, of course, and I was starting to make like all the stuff I want to talk about. And I was like, there's too much stuff going on to cover everything. What I did enjoy was kind of your story to how you ended up where you are, because there were some running with the police situations going on. Please give us a little quick backstory to catch us up to where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, so I started in this space when I was a baby lawyer. I was doing employment law. I hated it. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I transitioned to doing a lot of IP enforcement work. And that was going on anti-counterfeiting raids and going with the police. It was literally like synchronize your watch kind of stuff. Like we would hit an LA factory and like in New Jersey at the same time. And it was super cool. And I didn't have to wear a suit to work. So that was even more cool. So that was my first foray into, combining fashion and the law.
Did you get like a neat SWAT jacket or anything fun to wear, or did you bring your own attire?
I brought my own attire, but the SWAT jacket would have been fun. But we did take possession of some really good counterfeit goods back in the day, where the Chloe bag with the padlock bag was the big thing. I mean, I thought that bag was insane.
So they had just had, like, obviously with the new Trump reign, there's been some interesting stuff going on. Did it get a little crazy for you guys during that whole everybody in China saying, yeah, we make all those bags, and all the stuff that was going on at the time? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, right? I mean, but it's not unknown. I mean, China's been, the main source of counterfeit goods, and trying to stop those bad actors is like a game of whack-a-mole. You hit one and the next one pops up. I think they're even more just brazen about it now. So yeah, it's a problem. It's going to continue to be a problem. I mean, I think, China's been more active because it's such bad PR for them that they don't
Right.
love that. But yeah, it is a bane of most luxury brands' existence.
Definitely keeping you guys busy, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So if you had to give us like one rule you feel like a lot of the larger companies are still making the mistake on, what do you think it would be?
For whatever reason, I keep seeing brands and celebs use content that they don't own. So for example, and I thought that this was done. I thought that everybody got the memo that, like, if you're going to use a paparazzi photo, you need to license it. And just giving the photographer credit is not enough. But I keep seeing, brands and celebs fall down on that issue time and time again, and they will sue you without hesitation.
And it's such like a, I wanted to say a different word, but very kind of a slimy back and forth, because I feel like with Instagram and the way things are going social media wise, it's hard to even find the line there. Is there, would you say there's like a check on these 3 things kind of deal before you post on any of that kind of stuff? Like, is there a way to keep yourself safe?
Yeah, don't post content that you didn't shoot yourself. I mean, that's really the safest way to do it, right? If you find somebody that has do not delete the copyright. That brings in a whole host of other claims of copyright notice. Yeah, I mean, just if you didn't shoot it, don't use it. And if you can figure out who the photographer is, then offer them, some money to license the photo. But other than that, you're going to be looking down the barrel of a pretty hefty lawsuit without any defenses. So that's really what my advice.
Stay away. Good. Going into that same kind of arena, I want to talk about your venture into AI, but right now with a lot of the AI stuff coming on, has that been causing you guys issues as well? Because obviously they're all that's still kind of getting figured out.
Yeah, it's interesting now. AI, I think, is wonderful and a blessing and a curse at the same time, right? It's really interesting. It sort of automizes everything and makes everything so much easier for us. But at the same time, it's really scary. Like, I was watching somebody's reel, it was an influencer reel, and she said that a company took her whole persona, her name, her voice, everything, shot a commercial or what looked to be basically like a podcast where she was endorsing their brand. She had never, ever even heard of the brand, certainly didn't endorse it, certainly didn't get paid for it, and, launched it as if it was an actual endorsement. So that's really, really scary.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. So I represent a lot on the brand side. So from the brand perspective, when they're doing a deal with a celebrity or talent, they're going to want to be able to use that talent's AI, because doing a production, doing a shoot costs money every time you want to do it. And, the reshoot. So but the contracts that you're seeing now are going to, account for AI. You have to, SAG-AFTRA is now, finalize the commercials contract, rolling that out. The talent is going to have to be paid for their name, image, likeness. And if you're going to be using AI, that's going to have to be set forth in the contract. But it's great for both sides as long as everybody's using it above board and everybody's getting paid.
Yeah. So you jumped into creating your own AI. Let's dive into that a little bit.
So I partnered with a founder who created, it's a proactive agentic network, and agentic AI is going to be, all the rage. So essentially what it does is it's like having your own assistant in your pocket, and companies can use it because for different reasons. And we've launched it in different verticals in the industry. And because I'm a lawyer, I'm much more passionate about the legal profession and how AI can sort of solve for the pain points that I've felt, particularly in big law. So I'll talk about that piece of it. And it's a product that we call Amicus because it's legal. So, oh, my dog is now barking.
That's all right.
Could you hear that?
Yeah, but he's okay. We'll give him his time to. He's taking care of the house. You got to do what you
Okay, yeah, I know. He's a good guard dog. It's the sweetest mush golden retriever you'll ever see.
Mine usually ran to the back once anybody opened the door anymore. Not helpful.
So Amicus is essentially a proactive agentic tool that, for me, the pain point was for somebody who has a practice that's picking up their practice and moving it to a big firm with 2,000 plus lawyers. I need to be able to hit the ground running and service my clients with subject matter experts that are all over the country. So for example, I've got a client that has a consumer protection matter in New York. I need to know who those lawyers are in New York and who can solve for those problems. So essentially what it is, it's a institutional knowledge base that can identify who the true subject matter experts are in any given area across the firm. So instead of me going in and asking, some partner or some marketing person, who's the best person for this, it's impossible for one person to know 2,600 lawyers, right? But this tool knows, and then can connect, and then can figure out also what's missing. And it's a fabulous tool that solves for a ton of problems. And you can also do other cool things with it if you want to say, okay, I'm going to the LA office, who should I meet with? And it understands, what I want, what I do, and then can match me with the people in certain offices.
So it does the immediate deep diving of the research that you would normally take hours to do just to figure out the first one to reach out to.
Exactly.
Wow. How long ago did you guys launch this?
We launched a few months ago, and then we're rolling it out with some design partners to see how it really, it really functions. But it's a very cool process, and it's all new for me. So I'm just really enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, everything's moving so fast with AI right now. Would you say that's kind of your right-hand man at the current moment of everything you're doing? You just kind of run back and keep your work checked out to be your assistant along with your other assistant, most likely.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is also, but I mean, it's really, if you've looked at some of the statistics, right, I think the CEO of Lowe's came out and said that 72% of white collar jobs are going to go away because of AI.
Yeah.
We're seeing an uptick in 20% of law school student applications across the board. So you've got this uptick in potential lawyers coming out, and then possibly this shrinkage of job opportunities.
Yeah.
Which will segue nicely into the next thing that I'm doing, which is the brand marketing, brand marketing.
Yeah.
But that's why it's so important. It's so important for us as lawyers and business people to figure out what our unique value proposition is so that we can sell ourselves, because the job slots are not going to be there.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out, how are you going to get an edge in the industry? How are you going to get an edge in business? And that's what that masterclass is about.
Wow. And we totally kind of jumped over from how you went from the search with, police and cops into fashion. But we'll come back to that. I was going to give you a quick second as well, because you and Heather Monahan, correct, is the one who kind of created what you guys are working on right now.
Yep.
Give us, if you had to say, like, here's 3 reasons that you were going to walk away from this masterclass you guys are working on with a whole new mind frame to what you're doing for their branding and everything.
You're going to walk away with a clear, unique value proposition that you have, that we work on with them, and there's homework and all that stuff. 2 is a strategic way for client acquisition, right? Because we're all about, client acquisition. Mm-hmm. 3 is really like pitching yourself and selling yourself, because we're in sales. I mean, it's not lawyers. It's, we like to think that it's this, highly regarded profession. I mean, maybe back in the day, but, now there's a million other fabulous lawyers. Like, what's going to set you apart from them? And so we work on that as well.
Now, what drove you to that? I mean, obviously we went from full-on legal into fashion, diving completely into full-on legal there too, and now coming into kind of the coaching side of stuff.
I think it's necessary. I think what I've learned through 25 years that I've been doing this is that we as lawyers, and particularly big law, do a terrible job of training the younger lawyers to really market themselves, because all we're taught to do as young lawyers is to put our heads down and bill hours, not to market, not to figure it out. And as you're going on in your career, the next step is making partner, right? If that's something that you want to do, that's the next step. So what do you need to make partner? Yes, you're a great technical lawyer. We expected that because you're at this place, right? But you need clients, and you need the ability. If you don't have clients, then you need the ability to get clients and to generate clients and client acquisition. And we don't teach them that.
Yeah.
All we teach them is how to be a good technical lawyer, which is great. But it's only one piece of it. So I think that it's so important for young lawyers to understand who they are, where they're going, how to target clients, figure out where are your clients, right? And sort of the way to strategically sell and close.
So finding their shine and keep
exactly.
polishing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I guess for you, I mean, it seems like kind of the natural evolution. I feel like a lot of people are always like, find your niche, but I feel like you found your niche and then just keep evolving, because the niche keeps changing with you as you kind of evolve into these new things.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's like, I feel that I owe something to the people coming up behind me. So what it is distilling 25 years of expertise and throwing spaghetti against the wall to see what was going to stick.
Right.
And really honing down and understanding, where am I going to get where do you get the most ROI? Like, what worked for me and then what didn't work for me. So yes, everything keeps evolving. I mean, I think technology is really driving a lot of this. And I'm just trying to keep up, because, I remember the day where I didn't even have a phone or the internet, right?
I know, right?
Check
your pager.
Yeah, I had a BlackBerry. That was the first device I had, the keys, and they'd come off, and it was awful.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So how often do you feel like with the way social media has been kind of changing everything, is that like the new place for acquisition? Using your social media, using you as that brand, and obviously you're creating like your own TV channel that's focused on you and everything you.
I think it's part of it. I think it's a piece of it.
Yeah.
I think that it's, when we talk about branding and brands, and especially in the fact we talk about omni-channel, I think it's the same for us too, right? Which
Yeah.
is, there's no substitute for in-person connection, right? Get me in the room with people, I'll close the deal. It's a little bit harder now that we've gone to Zoom and everybody's sort of
Hmm.
all over the place. It makes it a little bit easier, but not really like that meaningful connections. And then
Yeah.
there's social media, right? I got my biggest client from LinkedIn. I mean, it works, but you have
Right.
to do all the things, right? And so, I also teach younger lawyers to, you have to do all the things. You have to write, you have to be a subject matter expert, you have to speak. I mean, if you're afraid of speaking, get a public speaking coach. I did that. I hated it. I wanted to die. It was the worst thing I could ever imagine doing. And I was like, all right, if I'm going to do this, I really need to do it. So you have to do all the things, but I think social media is a huge, huge part of it, but it's just a part of it.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's one place that most lawyers kind of getting into it at this point in time could focus most of their time and then kind of the rest will develop as they go? Or is it's literally you need to focus in on these, main 3 to 5 things
I
in
think
practice?
I mean, I think it's focusing on those things. I definitely, if law firms are big law, especially is a little bit funny about social media.
Right.
They too have their brand standards and things like that. So you have to make sure that you fall in line, but you have to figure out what works for you. So, and then focus in on that. Like if you love to speak and get out there, go figure out where's the industry, where the client's going to be, and go do that.
Hmm.
If you hate to write, see if you can figure out, somebody to partner with it,
Yeah.
on it. And social media takes a ton of time, right? And that's the other thing too. I think that, particularly younger generation needs to know is that, you don't get paid for it. It's good. It's like planting the seeds. You just have to put in the time and do the work. And over time, those seeds will grow. But you have to, you have to put in the time. But if you don't, love it, then don't do it. Do what works for you.
So you have 4 girls, which more power. I have one. I'm making it through. She's awesome. She is a wonderful way to challenge me daily,
How
and
old?
I would not be mad. She's 5.
Oh, you're in it. They're the cutest.
We're at yes, and it's its own death throw because she gets whatever she wants, and I
Yes.
try to battle that. She got her mom's eyes, so she knows how to use them. Um,
Smart girl.
having thank you. Having because you have some teenagers now, right?
I do. 17, 13, and my twins are 11.
Do you find that you rely on this oldest one to kind of learn more about social media and find ways that you can use in your business?
It's funny that I had a case and I'm not on TikTok. Like
Yeah.
that's not where I do my thing. But this case was very TikTok heavy. So I had them like help me search for like through all the, all the content to find the right things that I was looking for. So yeah, they can be quite helpful in that regard. So.
And that might be the case, but what would you say has so far been one of the weirdest or craziest influencer slash brand deal that you've had to work on?
Um, that's a good question. I've been fortunate where they haven't really gone off the rails, but
Yeah.
when you're dealing with influencers and in the influencer space, it can be quite unique. Um, I think one of the most interesting things that I saw come out of this was the Sad Beige lawsuit, which was one influencer suing another influencer for copying her vibe and her aesthetic. And it got past the motion to dismiss phase, which was interesting, I think, to every lawyer who was watching it. It basically said, okay, you can, there's enough there where you can proceed on these claims. And everyone was like, oh my God, where are we going to draw the line if we're, if you can basically, get intellectual property rights in a vibe.
And like on your personality, basically, right?
It was basically like look, it was very similar. It was clearly like maybe she was trolling a little bit, but it was, and there was a history between them, and that was,
okay.
So some
We got beef.
We got beef. We got bad blood, and maybe a collab that didn't go, or potential collab that didn't go well. But that was, I think, one of the craziest. The case ended up getting dismissed. I think the parties resolved it, but that was wild.
Has anyone actually been sued over like the wrong hashtags, or because obviously, you put a different side of the hashtag and it can lead someone down a different path.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So if you are using other people's trademarks in connection with something that, commercial, there's a possibility that you can absolutely be sued. One, if it creates consumer confusion, which is the threshold for infringement.
So if you were opening your burger joint and all the social media stuff's online that you're using and you start hashtagging, I'm loving it.
Bad idea.
Right.
Or like hashtag in and out, or anything like, although now I'm hungry.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Hopefully McDonald's is probably going to kind of reverse trigger that need to eat.
But yeah, no, because they don't, unless you have a brand deal with them, and they don't want you associated with their brand. So it gives a false association. It can dilute their brand. There's other claims. So yeah, I would not use anything that can be associated with or somebody else's trademark.
Yeah, that's just crazy. I mean, obviously we all deal with social media. My wife does influencing as well. So I'm very entrenched in all of hashtag world. I've done some on and off just from the film industry, but because, obviously if you're doing a film as it's coming out, you have a full team talking to you about what you can say about it,
Right.
with it, and all kinds of
Here
crazy.
are the guidelines. This is what yeah.
Literally. Make sure you're wearing your shirt. Why? You didn't care during the film.
Yeah. It is. And so the other part of the hashtag too, and where influencers, can find themselves in trouble, is if they're not using the right hashtag to make the disclosure that there is some material connection between the brand and the influencer. And that's where the FTC gets involved. That's where competitors get involved. And so you want to make sure that not only are you not infringing on somebody else's trademark, but that you are actually making the disclosure, the requisite disclosure under the FTC guidelines.
Gotcha. Contractually for the influencers in the world, what is something they should always look out for on that contract? Indemnity.
I mean, as brands, we're always going to ask for it, but that's a big lift for an influencer. Those provisions that say, okay, if you fail to do this and we get sued, then we can go after you for everything. You want to make sure, one, also that the brand is giving you the right direction as to, what those disclosures are and what they should be. It really shouldn't be up to the influencer's just discretion, but that you want guidance. And two, to make sure that you get paid. There's all these horror stories, that, influencers are just, they're pushed off. I get so many where it's just like, they owe me $500 or they owe me $1,500. And it's like, maybe try to negotiate for at least part of that up front. So it's tough.
Yeah, I hear that. Before I let you go, I want to get a couple I want to say easy ones, because what would you say is your go-to for just get your brain out of work? This hustle culture is nonstop. I find myself laying in bed going, "Oh, what did I finish? Oh, I'm in bed." Like ideas popping up that you're like, should I write that down? I put my phone over there so I wouldn't touch it, but now I want to go get it. What do you find helps you turn off when you need to?
Tennis. That's my thing. Like, that is my, I try to play, at least 4 or 5 times a week. And just, if I'm not doing that, to just get out of the house, go for a walk, sweat for 30 minutes, do whatever you need to do. But that really helps, reset, get rid of all the toxins, both like literally and, mentally. And in Miami, it's not hard.
No, no, you step outside and come back inside. Did you play? No, I just grabbed my tennis racket from the car. I'm done.
I just went to the car.
I feel you. I'm in New Orleans, so it's very similar. I remember like my cousins and stuff, they'd come out of their house like covered in baby powder. I'm like, what just happened? Their parents would literally put baby powder and let them roll just so they could cool off while they were in the house. They didn't sweat everywhere.
I want to make that Friends joke where Ross did the paste and it became a paste. So he couldn't get his pants back
the leather
on.
Pants.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is now my wife's favorite episode. Last one. If you, this is just one I wrote down earlier, but if your legal approach had a signature look or an aesthetic, what would it be?
It actually is my actual aesthetic, but just keep it simple. It is like, keep it simple. We are, I am, we're problem solvers. We're not, don't get messy, figure out the, my strategy. Let's figure out the end goal and then work backwards on the steps to achieve that goal. And the least amount of steps that we can do to get there, the better, but just keep it simple.
Well, Danielle, where can everybody find you? What's the easiest route?
You can find me on my Instagram, which is @DG Fashion Lawyer. You can find me on LinkedIn, which is Danielle Garno. I'm not on TikTok yet.
Your AI might be though. You're not sure.
Yeah. That's terrifying. That's a terrifying thought. Oh, and everybody, your wife, everybody, all of those people, you should actually keep checking social to make sure that your name, image, likeness, voice, persona, everything is not being used in any sense for evil, for money, for profit, all the things.
To call your family and tell them you're locked in a cage somewhere, send $2,000. 2,000? How cheap am I?
Exactly.
God. Thank you so much for hanging out today, Danielle. And hopefully we'll have you on again.
I would love that.
You guys do a few months running the masterclass. That'd be interesting. I'd love to have you on and we can chat and see what.
Yeah, we should definitely do that. That would be great.
Yep. All right. Thanks so much. All right, everybody. We are out.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.